West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy with Chef Justice Putnam. Netrootsradio.com.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. À fleurs sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte Goël.
So on Tuesday, the Dow Jones set yet another record. So did the S&P 500. The Dow was up 742 points. That's up about 2%. Also on Tuesday, President Biden said that he was finalizing plans to endorse major changes to the Supreme Court in the coming weeks, which has been overcome by right-wing extremism and rampant corruption. President Biden's proposals include proposing legislation to establish term limits for the justices and an enforceable ethics code. Also, President Biden is considering proposing a constitutional amendment to eliminate the absolute presidential immunity provided to Donald Trump by the United States Supreme Court's recent ruling. So with all of that happening, what is Donald Trump doing? Well, first, Donald Trump is trying to take credit for the booming stock market. Under President Biden, Donald Trump posted Dow Jones up 742 based on the fact that the market expects a Trump win in November. Nice compliment. Thank you. I mean, do you get any more pathetic than that? As we posted on the Midas Touch Network, gonna say it's because the incoming Fed rate cuts, interest rate cuts, low inflation, better than expected consumer spending reports, and the report that retail sales are booming. But it's good to see that Donald Trump is a fan of the Biden economy. What else is Donald Trump posting? He's posting the following. The radical left Democrats are desperately trying to play the ref by calling for an illegal and unconstitutional attack on our sacred, he puts that in caps, United States Supreme Court. The reason that these communists are so despondent is that their unlawful, and look how he spells that, witch hunts are failing everywhere. The Democrats are attempting to interfere in the presidential election and destroy our justice system by attacking their political opponent, me, and our honorable Supreme Court. We have to fight for our fair and independent courts and protect our country, MAGA 2024. Nothing really independent when the justices you appoint overturn about 248 years involving the central premise of our country that no one is above the law, and the Supreme Court found that you should be entitled to absolute immunity to allow you to order SEAL Team 6 to kill your political opponents, and that you can get away with whatever you want. And also, a federal judge you appointed in the Southern District of Florida, named the corrupt Judge Eileen Cannon, ruled that the special counsel is an unlawful position and therefore dismissed a case in which you stole nuclear secrets and war plans and kept them in Mar-a-Lago. But notably, federal Judge Eileen Cannon was confining her ruling only to the case in the Southern District of Florida involving your crimes, but apparently when Republicans appoint special counsels to go after people like Hunter Biden, then that is a permissible use of a special counsel and it is authorized, but when it's against you, it is improper. Also, you have people at the Republican National Convention wearing on their ears like white Post-its or like white sheets on their ears so that they can show solidarity with Donald Trump. That's kind of one step, I think, slightly above where the MAGA Republicans were quite literally wearing diapers at the various Trump rallies. By the way, fact check true by Snopes. But then, of course, you turn on your propaganda media. And folks, doesn't this literally look like the types of propaganda media you see in Russia with Vladimir Putin or in North Korea with Kim Jong-un? Aren't we so much better than this? Does the corporate media just think that we are stupid? That we, the people, don't get it? Just take a look at this. Here on Fox, you have Maria Bartiromo attributing the massive economic boom and stock market boom to the fact that Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance as his VP pick. Play the clip.
Trump trade again today, Maria. Watching some of these sectors and these stocks move has been absolutely fascinating. Wall Street is on this train.
All right, we appreciate everybody joining us here.
And then you have Larry Kudlow, who's been wrong on just about everything, who worked in the Trump administration, who now is a host on Fox Business, which is just more propaganda, says that the record highs in the stock market, well, they are responding to Trump's economic platform, he says, that this is responding to the Republican National Convention. I mean, come on. How pathetic can you get? Here, play the clip.
But you cannot have Trump's growthy platform without Trump. And I think that's had a big impact on the stock market. Just in the last 2 days, it's up over 1,000 points, almost out of the blue. And so I think the God's gift that Senator Britt talked about, people of faith come to this easily, I think it's having a major impact. It ripples throughout the country. People are saying there's a sigh of relief. I mean, I think they're rooting for him. Completely different from what might have been 2, 3, 4 years ago.
And by the way, we shouldn't judge our economy just on the stock market, but corporate media sure did that when Donald Trump was in office. Every day, if the stock market was up, we would hear the economy's booming because of Donald Trump, which it wasn't. Let's be very clear. The stock market under President Biden is double what it was under Donald Trump. Remember when Donald Trump said that if Biden was in office, the stock market was going to crash? Here, play this clip.
They said the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay. 12 seconds later.
So this just happened during the commercial break. The Dow 30 broke 40,000 for the first time in history. It hit 40,000.56 and then retreated just a couple of points. We closed above 30,000. Never closed above 40,000 before. Maybe it happens today, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. Dow closed above 30,000 for the first time on November 24th, 2020. That was only 3.5 years ago. Dana, I can remember 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we're putting people on the air talking about the books they've written about Dow 40,000. I thought they were nuts. And yet here it is today.
And now when the stock market's booming, Donald Trump says it's because of him. I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic. But by the way, the stock market isn't how we should be judging our economy. We should be judging our economy also by our wages increasing. Yes, they are. Do we have other economic metrics that are important? Low unemployment. Unemployment's been at its longest stretch basically in American history. Is the GDP increasing? Yes, our GDP is increasing at record highs because of actual policy that President Biden has engaged in, like the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Act and the CHIPS Act, and reducing healthcare costs and doing things like that. He's gotten inflation under control to meet the targets of the Fed. And also, don't let the media gaslight us. Inflation didn't just pop up like some storm. The reason that there was inflation is because Donald Trump added record debt to the United States. $7, $8, $9 trillion in debt was added by Donald Trump. Trump recklessly printed money and tried to print money as a way to get out of COVID, and then he totally mishandled the PPP program, prioritizing millionaires, decamillionaires, and billionaires with benefits over regular people. That's why MAGA Republicans frequently were getting their debt forgiven under the PPP. But when you inject that much money into the economy like that so recklessly, that's the result. When you give tax cuts for billionaires and aren't able to pay for it, that's the result. By the way, don't believe me. Why don't you believe a Republican? Here, this is a Republican talking about it. Here, play this clip. I think you know who this is. Let's play it.
And you know who else is missing in action? Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have now.
Now compare that to President Biden's speech before the NAACP. Here's what President Biden said. I know what a black job is, because remember Donald Trump said that there are black jobs, and he says there are black jobs and the immigrants are coming for the black jobs. Black jobs? What are you talking about? What President Biden had to say.
Oh, I'm serious. Go figure. From a guy who spread the birth as a lie against Barack Obama, saying he wasn't born in America and he wasn't a U.S. citizen. Of course, here's what he thinks of black jobs. I love his phrase, black jobs. Tells a lot about the man and about his character. Folks, I know what a black job is. It's a vice president of the United States. I know what a black job is. The first black president in American history, Barack Obama.
Here's what President Biden had to say about medical debt. Play the clip.
We're going to end medical debt. We've already made sure medical debt can no longer be put on a credit report. Well, I'm working with states to wipe out medical debt for pennies on the dollar, so it's not hanging over you the rest of your life.
Here's what President Biden had to say about the real statistics, not Trump's fraud, the real statistics about black unemployment hitting a record low under the Biden administration. Play the clip.
COVID no longer controls our lives. Our economy is not figuratively, literally, the strongest economy in the world. Historic low black unemployment. Record growth of black small business. Let me say this again, because Trump is lying like hell about it. Black unemployment hit a record low under Biden-Harris administration. The first bill I passed would put $1,400 checks plus $300 checks per child, per family, per month in the pockets of people in this country to get them through the pandemic. Not Trump's administration. Kamala and I did that.
And here's President Biden talking about shootings that are taking, mass shootings in the United States. Here, play the clip.
You understand, if you're going to talk about standing against violence, you must stand against all violence. You must stand against violence perpetrated against presidential candidates in Pennsylvania. You must stand against all violence. The violence perpetrated against George Floyd in Minnesota. Against black veterans like police officers Eugene Goodman on January 6th. Black election workers like Ruby Freeman and Shane Moss in Atlanta. You have to stand against the violence and intimidation of white supremacy, the murder, innocent lives in that grocery store in Buffalo, New York when I went up there. Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Was standing against the violence and murdered children in Sandy Hook and Uvalde. Concert goers in Las Vegas. Innocents on the street all across America that never make the news. There's Uvalde every day in the communities across the country. If you're going to be outspoken on one, don't be silent on others. If we're going to speak about violence, we're going to speak about guns. More children in America die of a gunshot wound than any other reason. That's stunning and that is sick. And it's sheer cowardice if we do nothing about it. So, if you want to stand against violence in America, then join me in getting these weapons of war off the streets of America.
So you have that taking place, and on the other hand, you got MAGA leaders like Marjorie Taylor Greene yelling at reporters at the RNC like this. Here, play this clip.
Let's talk about people like you.
Where's your evidence
let's talk
of
about
that?
people like you
But where's your
that
evidence of those
demonize
claims?
people like me, President Trump. You know, I have some of the most highest amount of death threats because of people like you. Because you choose to only take certain words from people, and then that's what you want to report. Shame on you. Shame on you.
But
Because
where's your
no. You're the problem. And where's this woman from?
The Times.
You're from
London.
the Times. Okay, you're ridiculous. And you're the problem in our country. You lie about people like me. This is the first time you've ever talked to me. I want you to know I'm a regular person like you. I'm also a mom. I have 3 kids. And we have to put up with the most unreal amount of bullshit because of little liars like you that take your job and turn it into political activism. Your job is the press. You should report the news. Not lie about it. You don't get to ask any more questions. I'm done with you. Because you're the cause. You're the cause of our country. No. You're the cause of our country being divided. You're the cause of our country being divided. You're the cause of President Trump almost being assassinated. You're the cause of everything wrong in America. No, you're done. You're done. Yeah, go back.
Thank you.
And then, by the way, you have Donald Trump sending unhinged emails like this. This was the email that Trump sent yesterday. Ben, I'll be looking for your response. My question for you. I'm pretty sure I know the answer now that J.D. Vance is my VP nominee. Will you pledge to vote for us? And then Donald Trump goes, my plan for J.D. Vance. That's the subject. My plan for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, I need you to stop the invasion at the southern border. Let's be clear. Border crossings right now are down and are less than when Trump was in office. I need you to deport every illegal and make America safe again. One of the things Donald Trump says he'll do on day one is he's going to round up people who he believes are not here legally, round them up and have the biggest mass deportation. Just want you to think about what that's going to look like as law enforcement starts knocking on your doors, searching for people on day one. It says, J.D. Vance, I need you to help rebuild our economy from Crooked Joe's destruction. Again, so much for the tone today, the tone change, and end inflation and make America wealthy again. Or do you mean prioritize wealthy Americans in? Because all I see is these billionaires saying that because of Trump's promised tax cuts, they're willing to sell out our democracy again. And President Biden has got inflation under control now, thanks to actually doing things and not waking up and whining every day with all caps posts like a little freaking child. And then he goes, J.D. Vance, I need you to help end our humiliation overseas. I need your help to make America strong again. NATO has never been stronger than it is right now. The 75th annual NATO conference, the anniversary of NATO, was held here in the United States. New members were welcomed into NATO. Our alliances abroad have never been stronger. Do not want America that has alliances with frickin' Putin and Kim Jong-un. And if you think that's not what they're going to do, that's what they are saying.
It is Wednesday, the 17th of July of 2024, and you are in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. I am your chef de cuisine, Justice Putnam. Gunner, the English bulldog, is our snoozing sous chef. Precious, our little Yorkie, is resting at the moment. We'll give a little bit of an update in just a moment here, but in the interim, we will be seating you directly for our especially special, daily special, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. Will no one rid us of these meddlesome priests? Because, hey, too many priests making the eggs Benedict, well, it might not be that helpful, as they say. Do they? Or do they not? We don't know. Hey, Well, let me give you a little update on Precious. She goes in for her weekly IV drip. And she went to the groomer yesterday, and I inadvertently left her collar with her license there. So I've got to go by and pick that up today, and hopefully they get there soon. I hate having her out and about with me anywhere, even going to the vets without her collar and license. They take it off when she's there anyway, but I just like to have it. You know how that is. Anyway, I noticed something, to me, a bit troublesome towards the end of the day. Dinner time, a little bit later than that. I noticed that her back hind leg was not touching the ground and kind of up and quivering, which is what was happening when we thought maybe she had meningitis, and then it turns out to be this bone marrow cancer, because what was happening is that there was inflammation and hitting the neurological parts of her spinal column and causing her to have neurological issues in her hindquarters. So I'm hoping it's because the prednisone might be wearing off a little bit. I don't know. Now, she did later on put it down, and it was all fine, and she went outside and climbed back up the step to get back in the house, and has moved from different spots in the house when she sleeps. That's what she likes to do. I didn't notice her climbing up on anything, though she did climb down off my bed when I had her up on the bed, and I turned my back, and then she was down. So I don't know what that means, except I suspect what it means. So, but she gets her IV drip, and hopefully the white blood cells, I don't know, maybe they're up again, and that's why she's having that neurological issue again. So, tough spring and summer, boy. The tentative plans, I say tentative because I haven't actually got the confirmation yet, but it looks like we're going to have a ceremony at the military graveyard in Riverside. Is that what it's called? Memorial? Where they can bury veterans and such. Well, Dad's going to get cremated, so some of his ashes are going to be interred there, and then the rest of them, of course, go with us. But we're going to have a ceremony there with a flag, and then we'll have a gathering at my niece's place like we did last time for my mom. And that's around. That's going to be September 7th. So, of course, I'll be bugging out of here the day before. So, we got a little bit of time, a couple of months. But I'm still waiting for a confirmation on that so that I can, book tickets and get a hotel room for the night. I'm going to fly this time. Even though it may take as long as it takes to drive, a lot less tiring. Yes, I know. We'll see. Anyway, that's in a couple of months. We'll keep you apprised of that situation. And, of course, next week we have David's show on hiatus. So we're waiting to see what he will have for us. And looking forward to what he has for us. Hey, what the hell is going on in the world, huh? Yeah, what the hell? I don't know if I want to get into all of the confusion about this assassination attempt, because it just too much left for speculation, and that's exactly when you're working in PSYOPs, you'd like to have it be. So if you're going to take advantage of a situation, this is how PSYOPs works. Immediately they're going to put on a prop the size of, I don't know, whoever put a bandage on someone's ear like that. Jesus H. Christ. You take some non-adhesive stitch tape and you put a tiny amount on whatever the nick was. It's just so stupid. But no, he wants to announce to the world, I got shot in the head. Yeah, you did. First of all, we all know that the sound waves, the shock waves of a bullet like that close to his body, his head, is not good. We all know that already. Jeez. So some people said, oh, it wasn't a teleprompter because there was no teleprompter there. There was a teleprompter there. And actually, not 2, not 3, but 5 local news outlets there who were on the scene all reported the same thing about the teleprompter being damaged, and a shard of glass was what went by and nicked his ear, luckily for him. On the other hand, I still wonder if maybe the bullet that shattered the teleprompter came from security detail of some sort, whether private, federal, etc. I just, you never know. Trump engenders the kind of, bad actions that you would expect a bad actor to, engender. It's true. So, I think all of the F-up is endemic to the way this guy's life is and the way, he wants to run the world. And we're going to let him? Give me a break. So, had to turn off MSNBC. It's not like I've really ever watched it. It was just good to have in the background and, kind of gave you some news and I don't know, whatever else it is that I thought I needed or wanted to have in the background. So, can't do that. Katie Tour is going to be interviewing Eric. Will she ask him about the frauding the cancer charity? Or was it the dogs? I can never keep these kids' criminal activities straight. Jeez. Where's Donnie's wife? I love how that got turned around. Like, Jill is like the Black Widow. She's the one, like, with her tentacles everywhere, just controlling everything. She's a controlling wife. She's, like, everywhere. Oh, give me a break. I just love how they turn this stuff around. It's almost like putting on a maxi pad on your ear to announce to the world, I got shot at. He doesn't even say I got shot at. I got shot. I got shot by a bullet. I got shot in the head by a bullet and I lived. God had me live. Oh, really? Well, I don't know. Maybe God does work in mysterious ways. The Grim Reaper, not necessarily Mitch McConnell, but it could have been. Said you have a choice. You get to live or that guy over there with the family goes. And Todd says, I live. And Grim Reaper says, okay, pal, come with me. And Compatory goes. Trade one for the other. That may be how it works. I don't know. I'm not necessarily into that kind of construct of the afterlife, but it's pretty cinematic. Pretty. All right. Well, since we had a long introduction there, and I thought that we needed it because I just like the idea of being reminded of all that we need to be reminded of at this very moment and what they're doing and what is at stake. And we have 4 months. So the guy didn't even get a boost. Though if you listen to the media, they think they're trying to tell you that it is, though it's a lie. Boy, these guys are just, How do we counter that? Well, we talk to our friends and family and they already know. Because they see things with their own eyes. All right. And what's being told them doesn't make any sense. So we have that going for us. But I got to tell you, in 4 months, what's really going to be remembered is the Supreme Court took rights away from people, women. And that is going to be powerful. So, And then you got J.D. Vance, who says that women have to stay with their abusive husbands because they have to for the kids. No, you stupid idiot. You save your kids from the abuse. What the hell are these people talking about? Anything that shows sympathy, empathy, compassion is considered a sin by this cult. Let's stop it. Okay. I thought I was going to tell you what we have in store for you, but I just went off again. So let me open up this tab and let you know what we have in store for you on this fine Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. Indeed. Well, a Washington state man has been arrested and charged for attacks in 2022 that were part of a national series of disruptions to the electrical grid by far-right extremist groups. I could have edited that a little bit better, but, you know, when it's late at night when I put this together, things happen and things don't happen. Well, oh well. Hey, Steve Bannon's partner, that exiled Chinese businessman, has been convicted of wire fraud and money laundering. And Steve Bannon's in jail right now waiting for his little tete-a-tete with the law. I wonder what he thinks of the cuisine there. I wonder. And federal prosecutors indicted a neo-Nazi murder cult leader who plotted to give poison candy to Jewish kids in New York City. We're doing this like poisoned Halloween candy thing early this year. That's okay, because it's not Antifa handing out pot gummies. It's neo-Nazis handing out strychnine, okay? Or something else. But it's poison. Yeah. After the break, we move to the chef's table, where Germany's top security official banned a far-right magazine accusing it of spreading hatred against Jews. Boy, this thing is like going around again. Better stop it. And a Romanian court reimposed the travel ban on Andrew Tate and his brother as they await trial on charges of human trafficking, rape, and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women. And this guy is a hero of the MAGA. Says everything we need to know. That's why we need to go and vote in November, up and down the ticket. All that and more on West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit. As usual, we will forego the usuals at this usual juncture and tuck into this first offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, and it is by Conrad Wilson from Oregon Public Broadcasting. A second Washington man was arraigned on federal charges in Portland yesterday, Tuesday, for damaging two energy substations in Clackamas County in November of 2022. Zachary Rosenthal, 33, from Tacoma, is being held at the Multnomah County Detention Center on several charges, including 3 counts of damaging an energy facility. The attacks in 2022 were part of a national series of attempted disruptions to the electrical grid that law enforcement warned had possible ties to extremist groups. Are you saying possible? I hate that. Justice Department officials have not said if they have identified a motive. Well, I bet they do, but they got some undercover guys there too, I bet. According to the court documents filed by the U.S. Department of Justice, Rosenthal damaged the Sunnyside substation in Clackamas and the Ostrander substation in Oregon City. The indictment also charged Nathaniel Cheney, age 30, of Centralia, Washington, with 2 counts of damage to an energy facility. Cheney was arrested in April and was released after being arraigned in Portland. According to charging documents, Rosenthal and Cheney knowingly and willfully damaged the Sunnyside substation in Clackamas on November 28th of 2022 and attempted to cause a significant interruption and impairment of the energy facility. Rosenthal was arraigned on a second indictment for stealing 24 firearms on January 4th of 2023 from All That Glitters Jewelry and Loans, a pawn shop in Milwaukee, Oregon. He's also charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm, the ones he stole or ones he had before. According to federal prosecutors, Rosenthal was convicted in King County, Washington, with taking a motor vehicle without permission. I think that's called Grand Theft Auto. And malicious mischief, both in the second degree. Pravina Sumasundaram at the Washington Post brings us this next offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. An exiled Chinese businessman who once had close ties, that's one way of putting it, to former White House advisor Stephen Bannon was convicted of defrauding his online followers of more than $1 billion. Guo Wengwei, also known as Miles Guo, was charged last year with wire fraud and money laundering after using money from thousands of followers to support a, quote, extravagant lifestyle, prosecutors said in their indictment. Guo began amassing a following around 2018 through several avenues, including his web network called GTV Media Group, which researchers said spread disinformation about the coronavirus and the 2020 election. In March of 2023, in the March 2023 indictment filed in the Southern District of New York, prosecutors said Guo had led a complex conspiracy to solicit funds that he used to pay for a yacht, luxury car, and 50,000 square foot mansion. How many bathrooms? He was convicted of 9 of 12 counts after a trial that lasted about 2 months. In a statement yesterday, Tuesday, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said Guo defrauded followers to bolster his life of excess. Today, his scheme's been put to an end, Williams said. Attorneys for Guo did not respond because why would they? It was last night. Guo made a fortune developing real estate in China before being accused of crimes including fraud and bribery. They never send their best. The Washington Post had previously reported that he came to the United States in 2015 and bought a penthouse apartment in New York. Trump penthouse apartment somewhere? Once he'd moved to New York, Guo garnered an online following by posting videos and giving interviews claiming to advance a movement against the Chinese Communist Party. His comments on China led him to become close with Bannon, who left the White House in 2017. The pair formed a partnership that prompted scrutiny from the Trump administration. Well, that's one way of putting it. Because those guys were taken off the case, if you don't remember. We all do, though. When Bannon was arrested in August of 2020, charged with wire fraud and money laundering, also, after saying he was raising money for a U.S.-Mexico border wall, he was living on Gual's yacht. Press staff bring us this final offering in the Bistro Cafe part of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. The leader of a neo-Nazi extremist group based in Eastern Europe has been charged with plotting to have an associate dress up as Santa Claus and hand out poison candy to Jewish children in New York City to sow terror. Okay, Santa Claus. Mikhail Chevelizaveli, a 21-year-old man from the Republic of Georgia, was indicted on 4 charges, including soliciting hate crimes and acts of mass violence, according to a statement from the U.S. Department of Justice. It was not known if he has an attorney. I am not going to try to pronounce this fellow's name right this very moment, so we'll call him Mikhail, who has various nicknames, including Commander Butcher. We'll go with that. Leads the Maniac Murder Cult, which prosecutors said is an international extremist group that adheres to a neo-Nazi accelerationist ideology and promotes violence and violent acts against racial minorities, the Jewish community, and other groups it deems undesirables. Okay. I'm telling you that this kid that they're not talking about very much, saying, oh, we don't know what his political motives are. I bet if you dig a little bit deeper, you're going to find him in the accelerationist chat rooms. The Maniac Murder Cult's goal is to upset social order and governments via terrorism and violent acts that promote fear and chaos. Well, that's nice to know. Chikchevelishvili was arrested after he tried to recruit an undercover law enforcement officer to join his group and commit violent crimes such as bombings and arsons. In November of 2023, he began planning a mass casualty event for New York City on New Year's Eve. The scheme involved an individual dressing up as Santa Claus and handing out candy laced with poison to racial minorities and children at Jewish schools in Brooklyn. He even drafted step-by-step instructions to carry out the scheme. How nice. Merry Christmas. Merry Savage Christmas. Okay, well, Donald Trump says there's very good people on both sides. Okay, I'm just saying. We have a vote in November. Let's do it. Let us now also go to our break, and when we get back from that break, we will go through weather from around the world, and we will finish up with the stories that we have curated for you today. You are listening to West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, and we will be right back.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Clinton Johnston. This week, Walkabout, Not About Walk. In this week's film, the first shot we see of adult Maxine Minx has her walking towards us, moving in and out of the dark and the light. Here, we get two things immediately. One, that's her in this movie and that's her background, which some of you know. Maxine is T. West's third film following this character, always played by Mia Goth. And people are saying horror trilogy, but I don't get Maxine as a horror film. It's got some of the look and some cheesy camp gore, maybe a reference to horror in the 80s in which the film is set, but I didn't feel like West was trying to scare me in Maxine. Two, we get the movie's most significant visual motif, walking, especially Maxine walking. And seriously, Goth should be nominated by someone for Best Walk in a Film. But even though we see and hear a lot of walking in this film, this motif doesn't really take us anywhere, except maybe as a lead up to Maxine's final walk, and unless West is dramatizing her journey and or her drive to move forward, both very possible. Still, this isn't a movie about walking. Maxine isn't a movie about much of anything, and that's by design. In his interview with Lou Thomas of the British Film Institute, West says of messages in movies, "I don't really sit down and do that. There may be people that will extrapolate whatever they want from the movie, and that's subjective. But I think if you..."
Hi, I'm Tom Hartman, and since you're listening to netrootsradio.com, show your progressive side and go to the donate button on the bottom of the homepage. It's progressives like you who power Netroots Radio and keep the progressive message beaming everywhere 24 hours a day. Just go to our donate button at the bottom of netrootsradio.com. Thank you for keeping progressive radio at full power.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. July 17th marks the anniversary of the death of civil rights icon and democracy champion, Congressman John Lewis. Exactly 2 years before he died, he gave a speech before the U.S. House on the right to vote in support of the Voter Empowerment Act. Here's an excerpt of his speech.
In a democracy, the right to vote is the most powerful, non-violent tool we have. Many people marched and protested for the right to vote. Some gave a little blood, and others lost their lives. Some of you have heard me say that the right to vote is precious, almost sacred. In my hearts of hearts, I believe that we should make it simple and convenient for all of our citizens to be part of the democratic process. It should not matter whether you're black or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American. We can do better, and we must do better. We have a moral obligation, a mission, and a mandate to empower all of the American people, not just a select few. We must do what is right, what is fair, and what is just.
Congressman John Lewis will be honored with a National Day of Commemoration and Action in over 80 locations around the U.S. on July 17th. We've linked to the schedule at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1917. That was the day 50,000 lumber workers across the Pacific Northwest participated in an industry-wide strike called by the industrial workers of the world. The IWW had been organizing loggers for years around wages, hours, working conditions, and camp sanitation. The IWW began building for the strike in the aftermath of the Everett Massacre the previous fall. Elizabeth Gurley Flynn started touring camps in Idaho. By March, the Wobblies established Local 500 of the Lumber Workers Industrial Union in Spokane to organize across the region. In his book, Emperor of Timber, historian Eric Loomis details the chronology of events that led to the momentous walkout. In Idaho, loggers began walking off the job in April when demands for improved bunkhouses and food, higher wages, and the 8-hour day were refused. The strike spread to Washington state, the rest of Idaho, and into Montana and Oregon. Loomis notes that by August, they made employers feel their wrath. The strike cut production by over 80% and threatened war material. Infuriated timber bosses demanded federal troops be sent in to crush the strike and IWW leaders be prosecuted for treason and sabotage. raids and arrests were orchestrated throughout the Pacific Northwest, and the strike began to stall. After 10 weeks, the IWW called off the strike, but instructed workers to quit work after 8 hours. They continued to lead sanitation-related job actions that would substantially change conditions for the better.
50,000 lumberjacks, 50,000 packs, 50,000 dirty rolls of blankets on their backs, 50,000 minds made up to strike and strike like men. For 50 years
Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show.
Thank you for accompanying us here to the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. We always begin, whether from around the world, along the banks of the Rogue River in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon, on the west coast of the continental United States of America, where it is currently 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. It is 58 degrees Fahrenheit. We are in a cooling trend, which is nice. It looks like we're only going to get up to the mid-90s today, which is considerably cooler than what we've had in days previous, where it was over 110. Even yesterday it got up to 111. So if it stays around 95, 97, I think that'll be nice. Abundant sunshine throughout the day with winds at a brisk 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the west. Clear skies overnight with lows in the mid to upper 50s. We like that. Winds out of the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Then mainly sunny skies tomorrow with highs in the mid to upper 90s. Winds out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Looks like grass pollen is still rated high in our town of Rogue River. The air quality index for the region is in the good range at 30 parts per million, and that daytime UV index remains very high at level 9. Barometric pressure is falling at 30 inches, visibility is up to 10 miles, and relative humidity is at 62%. Weather from around the world is brought to you by a crowd of crowdsourced weather stations that a crowd crowdsources from around the world, and that is the Weather Underground. London is 75 degrees and mostly cloudy. Paris is 81 and sunny. Rome is 98 and sunny with an extreme heat advisory that could impact critical electrical infrastructure. Kabul is 75 and partly cloudy. Hong Kong is 85 and just merely cloudy. Tokyo is 80 degrees and cloudy. Auckland, New Zealand is 48 and foggy. San Francisco, California is 58 and mostly cloudy. Chicago, Illinois is 76 and sunny. And New York, New York is 81 degrees Fahrenheit and mostly cloudy. And that is weather from around the world, brought to you by a crowd of crowdsourced weather stations that a crowd crowdsources from around the world. Desk of the Associated Press brings us this first amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Germany's top security official yesterday, Tuesday, banned a far-right magazine, accusing it of stirring up hatred against Jews, people with immigrant roots, and parliamentary democracy. Interior Minister Nancy Faeser banned Compact Magazine and the company that publishes it, Compact Magazine GmbH, as well as a film production company, Conspect Film. Police raided properties and apartments in 4 German regions linked to the organizations, their management, and shareholders. Faeser described Compact as a central mouthpiece of the right-wing extremist scene. She said in a statement that this magazine agitates in an unspeakable way against Jews, against people with a history of migration, and against our parliamentary democracy. Our signal is clear. We will not allow who belongs in Germany and who does not to be defined by ethnicity. Compact is run by far-right figure Jürgen Eliza and produces the monthly magazine of the same name, which has a circulation of about 40,000, as well as an online video channel, Compact TV. It also runs an online shop selling books, CDs, DVDs, and other merchandise. At the World Desk of the Associated Press brings us this final amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan will no longer be allowed to leave Romania as they wait trial on charges of human trafficking, rape, and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women following a new court ruling yesterday, Tuesday. The earlier court ruled on July 5th that the 37-year-old Tate and his brother Tristan, 36, could leave Romania as long as they remained within the 27-member European Union. But on Tuesday, the Bucharest Court of Appeal ruled in favor of prosecutors who challenged that decision. The brother's spokesperson said the decision is final and that the pair cannot leave Romania. The Tate brothers, both former kickboxers and dual British-U.S. citizens, were arrested in December of 2022 near Bucharest, the Romanian capital, along with 2 Romanian women. Romanian prosecutors formally indicted all 4 in June last year with forming a group to traffic women, allegations they all deny. The court has ruled, and we respect its decision. Tristan and Andrew will fully comply with the court's decision, as well as the obligations included in the judicial control, just as they have done so far, a lawyer for the brothers said. They remain dedicated to clearing their names and reputation in the court of law. Well, I'm sorry, but we see how they are online, and now they've been caught. Let justice go where it may. All right, that brings us to the end of our broadcast period for the day. But you do know Netroots Radio broadcasts on, and we will meet up here tomorrow for Metro Shrimp and Grits Thursdays. So do stay tuned to Netroots Radio all day and all night for all the breaking news as it breaks. And we will meet up here tomorrow, right here in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. À fleurs, sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, qu'il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte Goël. Je voudrais toujours te plaire dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je veux déjeuner par terre, comme au long de golfe clair, t'embrasser les yeux ouverts dans mon jardin d'hiver. Pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver.